So how do you get paid with drop servicing? What's the best way to get high ticket clients with drop servicing? And then how can you accept those big payments? What's the best way to accept payments? How should you structure them? These are all the things we're going to cover in this video, as well as use an example of a $2,000 sale that I got to show you how I go about the process. So let's go.
Have you ever felt like building a real online business that drives consistent results, freedom, and control? Online business can feel uncertain, confusing, and overwhelming, but what if you had the vision, mindset, and actions to get from A to B and building your online business step by step so you can live a life of freedom, consistency, and control?
Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell so that when I release more marketing strategies, tactics, and stories, you'll get notified. And if you like the video, don't forget to like the video, smash that like button right now, and let's jump into it. So the first question I get a lot is, how do I deal with clients that don't pay? And this happens very rarely, but the way that you fix this issue is by handling it before it happens. So usually you always want to get clients to pay you 100% upfront, and that can be uncomfortable for some, but you just need to become comfortable with it because it's the only way to really work where you can ensure that your clients are going to pay you after, especially if you're delivering a service that you're doing yourself or you're having to pay other people to do, where you can't protect yourself by putting a logo on it or controlling the deliverable. You want to make sure they're paying you 100% upfront. Now, in some cases, you can do 50% upfront and 50% on delivery. And to make sure in this case that your clients pay you for the services, you can simply put your logo on it if it's a graphic or a video, some deliverable like that. Or if it's a website, for example, you can keep it on your system, keep it under lock, so they can't take that website that you've created for them, right, until they've paid in full. And always make sure that they do pay in full before you provide the finished product, because you will get times where you'll give the finished product if they ask for it, and then they'll run away. You'll never hear from them again. This happened to me a few times when I was first getting started with drop servicing, and it's something that you really want to avoid. So the way you can really make your clients feel okay about the fact that you're making sure they pay 50% upfront and 50% on delivery before you deliver the finished product is just tell them it's company policy. You know, it's company policy. We've had bad situations in the past with bad actors, so because of that, we no longer provide the finished product before we receive the final payment in order to ensure we get that payment. It's got nothing to do with you. It's not a bad outlook on you as a client. It's just that this is our policy. I can't shy away from company policy. Something like that works every time. So just say something like that if you are having an issue where the client wants you to deliver the finished product before you pay. That's really key. The next question I get quite a lot in relation to getting paid with drop servicing is how to get high ticket clients, right? And a lot of this just comes down to mindset factors, because what happens when you get started with online business is you're not fully comfortable taking massive payments, $1,000, $10,000, $50,000, whatever it may be, from clients. You're not comfortable with it, right? But your clients are. You need to realize these are businesses, big businesses a lot of the time, and they have large budgets that they're ready and willing to spend on services that they need. So you need to realize that if you have positioned your service as something they need and positioned yourselves as the best people to handle that and deliver that service and solve their problem, then you can charge a premium for that, and they're going to be happy to pay because simply they've got a budget for it and they're ready and willing to pay. And you need to realize as well that this is an abundant market, right? There's so many clients to go around. There's so many companies, of course, but there's a lot of clients too because of that. No individual company can service all of the clients, and that's why there's so many companies popping up all the time. So you need to realize that you can come into a market, you can charge $1,000 or $3,000 for the same service, and you're going to get the same number of sales in most cases, especially if your marketing is on point. So you want to make sure that you're really charging what you're worth, and it just comes down to be comfortable with charging what you're worth, because you need to realize, once again, this is a massive market, it's abundant, there's so many clients to go around, and your client will be happy to pay a high ticket for your services as long as your service is good and they really need your service. You've positioned the urgency and importance around your service, so they want to get started with it right now. The next question I get quite a lot is, how should should clients pay me? And there's so many options when it comes to the payment methods, right? So there's ways of structuring the payments first of all, and I've heard all kinds of crazy ones over the years, but I only go with 50% upfront and 50% on delivery, or 100% upfront. And ideally, most of the time it's 100% upfront. That's just the industry standard across drop servicing. So that's what I would go for. And then in some special cases, you can do 50% upfront and 50% on delivery. But again, it is standard in drop servicing to do 100% upfront. You just need to be comfortable with asking for that. And I've heard some like 10% and then 20% and whatever it may be, but those are just too complicated. It's too much work to follow up with the clients and let them know, oh hey, now you need to pay 30%, oh hey, now you need to pay 20% as you're going through production. Clients are pretty happy to pay 100% upfront or 50-50 as long as you ask for it. And you need to realize as well, often what you tell the client, often what you tell anyone, this is just kind of a general thing, is what the reality is going to be. You create your own reality a lot of the time by saying how things are done. So you need to tell your clients how things are done so they follow your lead, and that way you'll be able to get a payment structure that works for both you and the client, because a lot of the time your mindset and believing that they're not going to want to do 100% upfront or 50-50 is going to make it more difficult for the client, because the client has to do all these weird payment methods that you've come up with, and also for you as well, because it makes things more difficult for you chasing up with the client and getting payment from them. And then in terms of the payment method, there's so many platforms out there, the most popular being PayPal and Stripe. And PayPal and Stripe are really great for ease and simplicity of getting payments coming in, right? It's very easy for the client to go and pay a PayPal invoice, for example. There's not much friction to get your clients to pay with those methods. It's very easy for them to do, but the issue is that PayPal and Stripe have these fees, right? So usually they'll take 4.4%, I believe it is, on PayPal, and then up to 7% if you're transferring a currency from PayPal account to whatever your home currency is in your bank account. So it ends up being around 7% once you do that, which isn't too great. If you want to minimize fees, the best way to go is bank transfer. So doing a wire transfer, international bank transfer, using something like TransferWise is the best way to go. And that way you'll be able to minimize your fees. But the trouble with this payment method is there's a little bit more friction in getting clients to use it and getting it done. So it's really about making it either easier or paying a little bit more. So the pros and cons are really with the platforms like PayPal and Stripe, you have higher fees, but there's less friction. And then with international bank transfer, wire transfer via TransferWise especially, really low fees, but there's more friction. So it's kind of a decision between those that you need to make. Now I want to give you an example of a sale that I got recently to kind of explain how I went about the process of getting the payment to come through for it. So you can see my screen here. I'll just show you. Everyone loves screen recordings. So this is a sale that we got recently, and you can see here that the client has paid $9.99 up front. So what we'll do with this client is they'll pay $9.99 up front and then $9.99 on delivery. And usually we won't do this for many clients, but this client here in particular, I mean, they seemed like a good client and they were a referral from another one of my clients. So I wanted to make them happy, and I wasn't too worried about doing 50% up front and 50% on delivery because I don't actually have to do any of the time investment in getting them to pay. I have a team in place to automate all of that. So it makes things a little bit easy for me in this case, and I wanted to reduce the friction with this client to make it really easy for them to go through with the payment. So they made the payment on PayPal, as you could see there, and what we'll do is we'll deliver the final product to them with a logo on it, just so that they have that logo on it. It shows that it's still our work at that point, and then from there they'll finish the final 50% payment. They'll complete that payment on PayPal as well, and then at that point we'll deliver a final video file that has no logo on it, and it's essentially their video to keep at that point. The other way you could do it is put your video or graphic or video especially on Vimeo, and then you could have your graphic on even just Google Drive, for example, in view only mode, and that's a good way to make sure that the client doesn't have access to it until they've paid that final 50%. But yeah, those are all of my thoughts around getting paid when it comes to drop servicing, so hopefully that really helps out. And if you're interested in learning more, a little bit more in depth into drop servicing, I recommend checking out the link to the free 2-hour training below this video. Otherwise, yeah, subscribe, like the video, don't dislike the video even if you didn't like the video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.